You might not notice putting on 5 or even 10 pounds, but for David Santonis of St. James, he packed on more than 200 pounds without realizing it. After getting hurt at work, David required surgery on his back. When he showed up to the hospital for his preoperative evaluation, he was almost twice the size as when his surgeon last saw him, leaving everyone, including himself, in awe.
October 1st of 2011, that's when I went for my pre-op with Dr. Langer, and I got weighed. And when I got on the scale and I saw myself at 505 pounds, I totally I was shocked. Because, I didn't realize it until it was right in my face. I said, oh my God, I'm 505 pounds.
His pain was getting progressively worse in his leg, and so we scheduled surgery. He went through medical clearance, and then the day I went to see him the morning of surgery, I literally hadn't seen him in 6 months because he didn't miss his appointment and just wanted to come in. And I went to see him in the holding area, and he'd gained about at least 150 pounds. Despite the fact that he was all scheduled and he was cleared and the OR was ready, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it, and we canceled.
The breaking point for me was when Dr. Langer called me up and said, it's not a safe surgery to do because of my weight. Either man up or I'm gonna die. I was 505 pounds then. I could very easily now, at this time, been 707 pounds and be dying. So for those next 3 days, I really sat in a room someplace and really contemplated what I wanted to do with myself. And I decided that, you know what, I wanted to live.
Choosing not to go the route of bariatric surgery for weight loss, David's journey wasn't short of physical challenges, as his injury and weight gain left him almost completely disabled. In terms of changes in the kitchen, it meant shedding his diet that consisted of upwards of 18,000 calories, mostly consisting of fast food.
Well, I'll give you my day of eating. For breakfast, I would have 2 heroes with 6 eggs with extra bacon. Then for lunch, I would have 2 Domino's pizzas. For dinner, I'd go out with my friends. Let's say we'd eat at Applebee's, have appetizer, have a main course, have a dessert. Then about 12 o'clock at night, I go to Burger King, have 4 Whoppers, extra pickles, 2 large fries. But, my theory was, but I did drink Diet Coke, so I thought maybe it would all even out, but I guess it didn't. So that was my daily life for about 2 years.
Being on disability didn't help his goals financially, as it cut his income to less than a quarter of what it was when he was working every day. But considering he was spending almost $100 a day on food alone, switching to a 2,000 calorie diet meant more money in his pocket.
I went from making, I would say, between $75,000 and $80,000 to last year making $17,000. Okay, and so understand that that's not a lot of money, and I made it work. I have less money than I did when I was working. And if I can do this, anybody can. Is it really expensive? No, it's not. It costs me more money to eat out than it does eating at home.
But for David, he proved that he had an unlimited amount of motivation, something that is always free of charge. His goal of regaining his body and getting the surgery he needed to get back to his life was all he needed.
I saw him subsequent to that a year later, and he had lost, I still wasn't ready. I think he was down around 380 or something. And then he came back to me again, and he was under 300 pounds, and he looked like a totally different person. I was like, okay, I have to stand by my word. At that point, I think he'd made such a commitment to himself that I had to make that kind of commitment to him.
Now recovering from surgery, David continues to shed pounds while pocketing money from his previous lifestyle of binge eating. He's now down 240 pounds from his peak weight, all through diet and exercise.
He always motivates people, and he always tells me how he did it. And he said the rock bottom for him was when the doctor told him that he wasn't able to have the surgery because of his weight. And he said that's when he realized how bad it had gotten.
David continues to surpass his goals, which are important for those looking for a springboard, especially if you're dealing with limited amounts of time and money. Making benchmarks can make your life change that much more interesting. For John Beneducci, coach and owner of CrossFit Bayside, being obese at a young age sparked life goals which turned into a career.
I was always a really fat kid, so I used to be 255 pounds. And I'm only 5'4", so 255 pounds on me is a lot. So I went to pick something up, and both my parents were close by, and they were looking at me, and they were far enough away that they didn't think I heard them. And they made a joke about my belly hanging over my pants. And when your parents are starting to call you fat, you know there's a problem. Usually your parents will never call you fat. So when they said that, I was like, oh man, I definitely have a problem. If my mom and dad are saying how my stomach's hanging over, I'm definitely got to do something about that.
When it comes to transitioning to a healthier lifestyle, the thought of the added expenses in order to eat well and exercise can be a common burden. But when you break it down into long-term health issues, taking care of yourself today will pay you back immeasurably down the road.
The question of value, right, comes in a lot for fitness. oh, I don't know if I want to spend the money to eat healthy or to exercise or to train the right way. This is actually a flaw in the way people think. If you don't spend it up front, you spend it afterwards. So if you don't take a little time and a little money to focus on your diet and your health, you're going to spend that same money or 10 times the amount when you get sick and can't work anymore. When I first started training, to pick up a little extra training, what I found myself, if I was watching TV, every commercial break, I'd hit push-ups for the 2 minutes, right? I have the time. You have the time.
While the struggle of achieving a healthier lifestyle may seem overbearing right now, remember why you're doing it can help you hit your milestones.
You know, so the motivation is the first step. You want motivation first will carry the day. My best athletes are usually parents, and their goal is to be healthy for their kids or to set a good example for their kids. Write down a few goals when you start. You know, if you have a goal and think about that goal and try to get that reinforced. So I have, I'll have little Post-it notes over around the house, you know. For me, it's just about keeping focused. Whatever it is, write it down and put reminders up for you, you know, but you have to find that goal inside yourself.
Once you have your goals in mind, reaching them is all up to you. Fitting exercise into your busy day might seem hard, but there's always a way to squeeze it in if you're dedicated.
You may wake up, you may do 10 rounds, 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 air squats, 10 rounds of that. That's a great workout, you know, and it doesn't take you any money to do.
I was too proud to start asking for help, but once I started, it made me feel a lot better. You know, if people do care about you, let them in. You know, suck up some of that pride that you have and get help.